Okay, Sharon, it's 6 o'clock.
Perfect. Are we doing the questions tonight or no? Okay, so we'll put that up. Hi, everyone. I am Sharon Collins, and people will join, but we want to respect your time. I am the executive director of Westgate Community School, and I want to point your attention over to the welcome to the Prospective Parent Night. We try and do some trivia and some questions along the way so we know who's in the audience. And if you'd like to use your cell phone, you can log into slido.com and put in our event code, and then we'll be able to ask questions and do some fun things as people are continuing to enter here. And I go into because I don't know the questions ahead of time, and it's always fun for me. So
Okay.
welcome. Nice to see everyone. We always like to see faces. I know sometimes we can't, and the cameras can go on and off, but we love to see you so I can get some read on how things are going. So welcome to Westgate Community Schools Prospective Parent Night. So Holly, go ahead and let's begin, and maybe put the slido.com in the chat for the people coming. So what grades will your students be in next year? You can go to Slido, it should be there now, and you can enter what grade your students are, and then I know where to focus as well.
How do I enter the information? Oh, do I need to scan the QR?
And you can also put it in the chat. We look there too. If you don't have your cell phones close to you, you can type it right into the chat, and we see. Okay, so kindergarten's winning, but ninth grade, high school, and also first grade. So it's wonderful. I will sort of hit everything so you know the wide variety of what we do at Westgate Community School K-12. Sixth grade, I see you. More ninth grade, kinders, first grade. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, Holly. At Westgate Community School, everything starts in a circle. Every day, every staff meeting, and actually the history of the school itself started in a circle. What you see here is a kindergarten class with one of our teachers sitting in circle, and this is where students learn social skills and talking with one another and taking turns and all of those wonderful pieces of becoming a member of a community in a school. Now, up through intermediate grades and middle school and high school, we have themes every month. This week was Kindness Week, and every day was a different theme around kindness. And we talk about how that builds community. We have environmental ed. We have we have all different months that the teachers have lessons that they can pull from, and also students can give their ideas for what they need to talk about. Sometimes in circle, in younger grades, students bring up topics like people aren't following the rules of the game out at recess, and we need to discuss this because we're having arguments, or the games don't ever end, or people change the rules in the middle of the game, which happens with gifted kids as they come up with their own rules. Happens in my house with Uno all the time. And so it is a place where the community can come together and talk about the issues that are important to them at the time. So really important part of our day. Our school started actually as conversations in a parking lot at another school between teachers and parents about what school should be and what school could be. If they could dream of anything, what would they make? And those parking lot conversations after school transferred over to a dining room table where they sat around the table talking about it. And then one day they said, let's do it. Let's create our own school. And they decided that they would do this. And within a year, so it was less than a year, Westgate Community School opened. And so they really had a lot of passion. And that means Westgate School truly is a grassroots school founded by parents and teachers of gifted children. A little bit of a warm up and a bit of inspiration to get us started tonight.
Every generation must pass on the wisdom of the previous generations. If we don't keep the next chain connected to the ones that came before it, it's all gone. And who's the glue between those chains? It's you. It's you. This is a sacred trust. As educators and parents, the sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. It's a sacred place. It's not a room in a school. It's any place where a teacher helps a child patiently and artfully in their journey. In this sacred place, we must nurture the gift of a question. In this sacred place, the teacher lights the way. This is a sacred trust. As educators and parents, the sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We have to ensure that testing serves education. We have to ensure that education does not serve testing. We as a nation now are teaching to the test. We as a nation now are beating all of the joy out of our classrooms. The book of knowledge is not written in our genes. What's written in our genes is the journey. We should be nurturing that gift of a question. We should help create that pathway to an answer. The teacher's the guide. It's a student's classroom. They are remarkable explorers. This is a sacred trust. As educators and parents, the sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way.
Thank you. Every time I see that, I say yes. And if you had to leave the conversation now and something happened at home, you would know a lot about what Westgate feels about kids and parents and teachers and school and the community we create and the partnership we have. You would also know how we feel about education and that the students' desire to learn is there, and all you need to do as a teacher is find the activities and the spark for them along the way, and they will grow and learn. And that's what we aim to do at Westgate Community School. Tonight's agenda, so you know what's happening, we'll give you a brief history of our school, our programming model, the enrollment process and lottery we will go over, and then at the end we can answer questions. If you have questions along the way, you can put them in the chat and we will hit them at the end if I don't answer them during the presentation. So along the way, if something strikes you, just put it in the chat and Holly will take care of it for us. Westgate Community School. Again, grassroots charter school. And we are in our 12th year of school. And as a school every year, and these last 2 years have been a little different. So is it really 12 years? Yes, it is. Again, if you just came in, my name is Sharon Collins. I'm the executive director. I have been at Westgate. This is my 8th year. I have been in education since the 90s. And I am from Chicago, Illinois, and I moved to Colorado 8 years ago. I started as a middle school history teacher, moved into gifted education shortly after in early 2000. And when I was thinking of moving to Colorado, many of you know Colorado's sort of a center for gifted education and sort of innovative thinking around kids and learning. And it was very exciting for me as a teacher to move here. And so I started Googling all the things I thought about gifted ed and kids, and Westgate came up. And what I knew was good for education and for teachers and for families. And a community school really spoke to me. And so I started as the assistant principal, and a year and a half later, I took over as executive director, and I wouldn't change any of it. And I will hopefully stay here and watch the school grow and flourish for many, many years. So go ahead to the next one. I believe it's what's in a name. Yes. So one of the first things that a group of people starting a school or get to do is name it. And so Westgate is welcoming exceptional students to gifted and talented education. And gifted and talented strategies are used in every classroom all day, every day at Westgate. Coming from gifted ed in public school, traditional public schools, I used to go to the classroom, pull out the few kids. We would have an hour together, usually in a week, maybe 2 hours, and they would go back to the traditional classroom for the rest of the day and the rest of the week. And what is so wonderful about Westgate is that those gifted practices are used with all students every day, because gifted practices are good for all kids, not just students with high IQs. Thank you. Our mission is that we are a small school of innovation that seeks to serve gifted students who would benefit from a creative, collaborative, and less traditional educational environment. And I will hit on all of those things as we continue the presentation. So what makes us different? Many of you are kindergarten parents. I'm a kindergarten parent too. So what makes us different is important, because what we believe at Westgate is that every family should be looking for the right fit for their child. So in gifted ed, we believe in gifted education for the whole child. And at Westgate, that means mind, body, community. And those are the areas we focus. So we are an inclusive, full-time gifted education school. And inclusive means we don't have only gifted students. We allow siblings and cousins and family members and friends to also come to the school, because what we know, as I said, gifted practices are good for all kids, but that gifted students can learn from students who are not gifted, and the not gifted students, the traditional students, can learn a lot from gifted individuals as well. We're full-time. We use academic depth and complexity, which is a strategy of gifted education in which different icons are used that ignite the students' thinking. So if a teacher puts up the connections icon on the board, the student starts immediately thinking, what are the connections here? What's the conversation here? What do I need to do? What am I thinking in all of these areas of depth and complexity? So it's not just the subject area, but how we can connect it to the real world, to other subject areas, to our own lives, to others' thinking, and really deepen the knowledge that we have, that it's not just facts, it's an understanding that we're building. We do differentiation and course compacting. So if the teachers give a pretest and the students know the information, they're going to move on. So they're going to compact all of some of that information and go to where the kids are, and then they can go deeper into their thinking and do some more interesting readings and discussions around the topics. We are cutting edge and student centered in our instructional practices. So as a charter school, we're very lucky in that we can look to research in areas, not just in education, but in business and finance and marketing and all of those things that drive the world around us. And we can adjust and adapt to things that are happening much more quickly than a large district can do, because there's so much more they have to go to. We have a local board of parents and community members that are focused just on Westgate Community School. And if we think a curricular change needs to happen, we can go to them and make those changes as necessary. We're a small school. Even though we're K-12, our grade levels have about 50 students per class per grade and 25 students per class. Now in kindergarten, it's a bit smaller, ranges from around 15 to 18 students in kindergarten. And in our high school, we have 25 students per grade. So our whole high school is 100 students. And I'll talk a little bit more about our program because it's really great. Our students are at Westgate, but they also have the opportunity to earn an associate's degree at Front Range Community College while they're in high school. So we have mixed age groups. So first and second grade is together, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, and seventh and eighth. And we find that this is a wonderful tool because students learn to be leaders and followers. When I'm in second grade, when the first graders show up, I say, this is how we do things on the first and second grade team. And this is the teachers, and this is our process, and I will show you. And then when I go to third grade, the fourth graders are there to help me, and they're there to show me the way of how 3-4 works. And it's a wonderful thing. Needs-based instruction simply means your children go to the class level they need to. So we're an interesting school in that in the elementary, the math block and literacy blocks happen at the same time. So if I'm on the 1-2 team again, I'm a first grader, the teachers teach up to about third or fourth grade level standards, depending on the year and the student's needs. And if I'm even above that, I can go to the third and fourth grade pod to have my needs met there because literacy is at the same time. So maybe I'm in fourth grade and I can go to one of my teachers on 1-2. But math, I'm pretty typical, and gifted students are not gifted in all things. So then I'm in my on grade level class and I grow and learn there. And they still use the gifted practices in my classroom. We have social emotional learning every single day. That's the circle. We call that advocacy. And the students in that class become advocates for each other. And the teacher in that class is the advocate for their students. And as students go between kindergarten and 8th grade, students learn to self-advocate along the way. And we teach those skills gradually as students are more able to do those things. We use mindfulness in the class, we breathe, we walk before exams or tests like the CMAS. We get our blood moving because we know when we move, we do better and we have more concentration. And we have something that's interesting and really special to Westgate. We have a unique work at home policy, which means if your student is on task during the class, they do not have homework. What our teachers want to see is what the students are doing on their own. What are the questions they're asking? What are they thinking about? And we want them to have their peers to ask questions about and have the teacher in the classroom to answer those questions as they come up. We practice at home. We ask students to read every day, write every day, and do some math practice every day. And some of the writing will happen in school, and some of our kids go home and write in journals and those things. And we want at home time to be for family, for pursuing passions, for play. Kindergarten here is a full day of academics, but kindergarten will not have a half an hour of homework because our teachers really want to work with our students and see what they know. And like I said, our high school is an early college model. Oh, the quiz. What's the, oh, no, are we doing mine?
It is the quiz.
Okay, what's the quiz question? What part of the brain takes its name from the Greek for seahorse?
I think we have a quiet group. Oh, there we go.
Are they starting to come in?
Yeah.
So this is on slido.com if you joined us late. And if you don't know, guess and we'll learn.
All right, you ready?
Okay. And all right, we have a smart group. 50% of us knew it. When we talk about body at Westgate, we want students to move. Everybody, kindergarten through 8th grade, has at least one recess, and kindergarten through 5th grade has 2 every day. So every student goes outside and moves for a half an hour before their lunch. That's important for us. It's important to be outside. It's important to move the body. The negotiation skills, the problem solving skills that you learn playing with friends outside is critically important to the growth of the whole being, the whole human. Flexible seating to suit individual learners. So we have balls, we have wobbly seats. Students can stand at the back of the room. Many times during these parent meetings, I see a parent sort of stand up and kind of rock from side to side. We do that as adults. At work, we get up, we might go get a drink of water, we walk around, say hi to people, come back, because the body, the human body is made to move, and that's how we get our brains going. We have physical education in all grades, health education in all grades, and we learn to self-regulate by moving. We can say, you know what, I need a drink of water. I'm working on this with my team in times other than COVID, and I need to walk away for a minute because I need to think about, I need to get my train of thought. I need to work. It's about saying to a friend or even a teacher being able to say to a student, I need to take a break. I need to think about this, gather my thoughts, and come back. We do that all the time as adults. And so we allow that and teach that skill to students. I need to take a break. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to gather my thoughts. I'm going to think about it, or I need to breathe. I need to calm down for a minute, and then we can come back together. We teach mindful breathing. We also allow students who need them to have fidgets. It's amazing. Students who don't need fidgets don't want them. And when they're allowed and not sort of taboo, students who need them use them, and students who don't just don't. And we want them to use what their body needs. Oh, get ready. Here we go. Which of these is the name of a song by Tears for Fears? Oh, I know this one. Okay, I'm in.
All right. Ooh, I think a lot of people know this
Oh,
one.
we all know this one.
All right, here we go.
Yay. when we talk about community, we're speaking to the partnership between students, faculty and staff, and families, and the community at large. The multi-grade teams allow students to become part of a community. The leadership opportunities I spoke of, we also have a leadership team in the high school. We have peer mentors I'll talk about, where students in the high school apply, they interview, and then if selected, are trained to be peer mentors to younger students who may just want to talk about a friendship issue, or they just want to talk about things going on, what they're doing on the weekends. And the older students learn to be leaders in that way and better listeners. Our teachers team teach. They know all 100 kids on their team. And what they do is have a common plan. So they can sit down and say, hey, I noticed that Sharon is not turning in the quality of work, or I noticed she's coming in late in the morning, or do you notice she's like really talkative with her friends? And other teachers can say, yes, I'm seeing that too, or no, I'm not seeing that in my class. And then we can get at what's going on. We can include parents, family, and really start to talk about what's happening with each individual student. We have environmental education in our school and service learning, K-12. And the high schoolers lead the service learning, and we have an environmental education specialist who works with all grades. We just started this quarter a one-to-one tree school. So we are one-to-one computer school. And actually for some of our families, we're 2-to-1 because they had a laptop at home and now they have their own laptop at school. And we also are moving towards next year becoming a one-to-one plant school. So every student will be assigned their own plant that for the year, that's their plant. They'll learn about it, they'll know about it, they'll care about it. And right now, every advocacy and every staff member has their own tree on campus. Mine's in the back of the school. I go say hello, and probably not over the next few days because it's going to be so cold. But our classes are taking real pride in learning about their tree, knowing about it, and where it is on campus. We are building an environmental campus that is about 8 acres. It has an amphitheater, outdoor classrooms, a playground, a zip line that's like 80 feet long that holds more than 2 high schoolers. So it holds all adults. We went out and tested it first, so you have to come and try it. The kids love it. We have a pollinator garden that's going in, an orchard. We have chickens, we have goats, and all of this becomes part of our community, and all of it becomes part of our learning at Westgate. All of our seniors in high school have internships. So on Fridays in the morning, they go off to work, all different kinds of jobs. We help match them. They find their own internships. And then in the afternoons, they come back to school. We see them. We have senior seminar. And then they help also lead some of the service learning and environmental work going on. After school clubs I'll talk about, but we have very wide variety of after school clubs. Even now in distance, we have active clubs happening. We work with Junior Achievement to do something called JA in a Day, where everybody stops and does something in economics for the day. And we invite and welcome family engagement as much as you can do, because what we know every year changes, and sometimes you have time to give, and other years you're like, hi, in car line, and that's all you can do as a parent, and that's fine too. Thank you. Okay, Slido. What are we doing? Which of the following tabletop games is the oldest?
I don't think as many people feel confident about their answer
I'm
on
not
this one.
sure. Okay. Ooh, 10. There we go. Let's go. All right. Let's see what it is. Is it Mahjong? Go. I have to look up a new game. Okay. No fair.
I know, right?
So this is an awareness video, and what we do is we ask students to, we ask our teachers to pre-test OEs so they know where their kids are at.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13.
Who got 13?
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Who saw the moonwalking bear? So let's back it up. They're going. He's going to enter from the right. Here we go, comes in, and moonwalks out. It's easy to miss something when you're not looking for it. And this is what happens in education all the time, is teachers are looking for one thing and the students are moonwalking and they don't even see it. So let's go on to the next. We're going to talk a little bit about gifted education. George Betts and Maureen Neihart were high school teachers at Arvada West High School. And they were at the beginning of their career and they got put down the hallway with the behavior kids. And what they started to notice was that many of these students were wicked smart, great negotiators, could get the work done very quickly, turn it in, and get around doing the work. And so they started their work in gifted education there. And they came up with profiles of gifted learners. And no gifted learner is one profile, one type their entire life. So you can move and ebb and flow between all of these types. And the first type is what many teachers in teacher education programs are taught to look for, the successful student. And these are the students who raise their hand, turn everything in. They remember their shoes before they get into the car in the morning. They help, they tutor others, they wipe the whiteboard, and everything seems to go very, very smoothly. Type 2 is what they used to call challenging, and now we call creative. And so these are the students who are divergent thinkers, who make up machines in their mind, build things, ask questions. They're nonconformists. They challenge the teacher many times, ask questions, say, oh no, I'm sorry. That's not a, I don't know, Stygimoloch. That's a Pachycephalosaurus. And if you're in my world in dinosaurs right now, I am being told those very same things. And so these are the things that a challenging child will do in the classroom. Type 3 is underground. This happens to students a lot in the middle grades. And many times it happens they see as a phenomenon in female students because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings. So they get a couple wrong on a test because they want to match up to what their peers are doing, or they ask the teacher, please don't read my story in front of the class again, because they're trying to sort of dim their light a little bit. When I worked in Chicago, my gangbangers were the best, like underground gifted kids. We didn't identify them in schools, but the gangs identified them and moved them right up the chain. And so the underground is an interesting group of students who sort of, or they think if I just get a C, they won't give me more work. You know, type 4 is our dropout, we used to call them. Now we call them at risk. And dropouts do not happen at age 17. It is a process of being disillusioned and left out of the school conversation from 5 years old on. It's the first grader in your car who says, can I just go to work with you? Because school it's irrelevant, it's slow moving, and I can't stand it one more day. And so there are those students who go into that time where they think, I just can't do school. let me go out to work. And then we have twice exceptional and what now is known as multi-exceptional, where we have students who have the GT identification, but they also have a disability that's been identified, whether it's a central auditory processing disorder, a sensory processing disorder, it may be autism, it may be ADHD, it may be anxiety. I would call perfectionism a twice exceptionality, but it's not something you can diagnose. It's something parents know and see. And so many times what we see with the student is that the giftedness masks the disability for many years because they can catch on, they're fast, they're smart. And it's not until the curriculum gets difficult that the disability surfaces. And they can no longer keep up with the curriculum based just on their giftedness. And these are kids parents identify very, very well. In early grades, a parent may say to a teacher, you should hear what my child says in the back of the car, or the questions they ask me, or the observations they make in the world. And the teacher says, I don't really see it. They're pretty, average in the class, right in the middle. And then boom, about 5th grade, we find there's actually a disability going on. Is it dyslexia? Is it something else? And then the giftedness shines because the disability is getting the services it needs. And so the twice exceptional is or multi-exceptional if there are several things happening with a gifted mind. But these weren't all. This is where they kind of stop. These are all these different types of gifted. But this isn't where we want gifted kids and gifted human beings to be. And so the next type that they came up with was called the autonomous learner. And all of those types of gifted people can become autonomous learners. And in this day and age, with the access to information they have, and we have, it's really easy to do this. Back in our day, and I'm going to age myself, you may have had a set of encyclopedias and you would have been the child like sitting in front of the encyclopedias, flipping through them because you just wanted to know more. You would look up the definition in the dictionary. Now you can Google it and find the answer to everything. These students, to be truly autonomous, have to be intrinsically motivated. They don't need to be told to look it up. They're drawn to look it up. They want to know the answer. They believe and they understand the difference between a grade and mastery. We had a student when we sent our 9th graders for the first year over to Front Range Community College. They came back and they all had their syllabus with them for their one class. And we sat them down and we talked to them, and one student raised his hand and he would have been known as a creative student. And he said, 10% attendance. We said, yes. And he said, that's compliance. And we said, yes. And he said, okay, so I have to get an 80 to get an A then. And I said, yeah. He understood very quickly what that meant in college and how to work his brain around still getting the A, but understanding that if he showed up, he could get lower scores on his grades, but still achieve a grade of an A. And this autonomous learner is our goal at Westgate by 8th grade. We want them to learn. So sorry, kindergarten parents, they won't come home that way, but I promise they'll be closer to it by the end of the year. And then they just build on that as they go through the grades. We want them to be creative problem solvers. We want them to be thinkers, and we want them to take reasonable risks. You have to be an entrepreneurial thinker, you have to say, not only do I have this great idea, but I'm going to try it. And when I fail, I figure out what may be the problem and I try again. We want them to take those risks at Westgate. So to take a risk, you have to have certain things to do it in a way that's supportive. And you have to have safety and trust with the other people, with the teachers and friends and peers in the class. You have to be able to ask questions. How did you get that? I don't understand this. How did you get that? And then be able to explain your thinking to someone when they come to you and ask that. We want cooperation more than competition in the educational environment. Cooperation breeds more, it breeds better ideas. And competition happens in life naturally. You don't have to create it in the educational environment. They want to be first out to recess, first to the parents' car at car line. Like, it happens no matter what. And perfectionistic gifted kids will create a competition in their head without you doing anything else. You do not have to create it for them. They will do it, and they have it in their passions. If they're in sports and other things, that will be there. We create a community of learners that have choice around how to show their learning. If a student doesn't think they did well on a written test, if that's what it is, or on a project, they can go to the teacher and say, I know more than that. Like, talk with me. And the teacher can ask them a few questions that may elicit an understanding of the depth of knowledge they have that they just didn't show on that one piece of assignments or projects that they had. And our students can also go to the teacher and say, I know you gave us this great list of projects or products that I can show my learning through, but I have this great idea. Will you take this? I'll use the same rubric, but I want to do this instead. And our teachers are very, very welcoming and encouraging of this. Motivation and measurement. So we'll talk a little bit at the end of this video.
In 1962, Desmond Morris published his book, The Biology of Art, which details his experiments teaching chimpanzees to paint. The chimps enjoyed painting immensely and eagerly created works of energetic colors and strokes. One phase of Morris's experiment involved rewarding the chimps for producing their paintings. Whenever a chimpanzee painted, he received a peanut. Surprisingly, very soon the quality of paintings began to degenerate, and so the chimps produced the bare minimum that would satisfy the experimenter. Any joy found in the act of painting was lost as the chimps uncaringly slapped paint on their canvases and ran to collect their peanuts.
We want students to have joy in learning, and when they're rewarded for every little thing, they lose the joy and they're looking for the reward. And we all know this as parents, but teachers, early young teachers, learn this very quickly. A student's out at recess and they say, I picked up look at all this trash I picked up, I'm gonna throw it away. And the teacher says, come inside, let me give you a toy from the treasure box or a Jolly Rancher. And the next day, every kid has one piece of trash and they say, where's my Jolly Rancher? And instead of doing it for the joy of doing it, or because the community is better for it, it becomes a part. The goal is about the reward at the end, and the reward is the task itself, and the reward is the learning itself. And so at Westgate, you will not see treasure box and gifts, and at Thanksgiving or around the holidays, we will not have a competition between advocacies to see who collects the most cans of food. What we do is we set a school goal and we work together collaboratively to reach that goal. And when we reach it, we celebrate. And so last year when we reached our goal, and we tend to do that, and they work together. We had a 10-minute dance party in the hallways, and we just turned on the music over the PA system, and we had a great time. It cost nothing, and it was the most joyful day, 10 minutes of a day. And the high schoolers thought they could dance, but if you really want to see the dancing, you head down to kindergarten, because everybody's a dancer in kindergarten, but it's a lot of fun. So that's what we do around motivation, is set goals and reach goals and celebrate when we reach goals, because gifted perfectionists are also good at goal jumping. They set a goal, they're just about to reach it, and they say, well, that goal wasn't good enough, I'm doing this, and they never celebrate. They keep raising the bar on themselves. Thanks, Holly. Oh, what's your favorite reward candy though? If you were gonna get a candy for a reward, what would it be? Reese's always wins. It always wins. Snickers is up there though, this one. This week we did a sweet, like a snack cart for teachers for Kindness Week. And they came out and you could tell there were like the salty people and the sweet people. And some of them had to have a little of both. So it was fun to watch. Our high school programming is an early college model. It's small, like I said, 25 students per grade, but they go to one of the largest community colleges in the Denver metro area, which is Front Range Community College. And our students actually get on a bus and go over to Front Range. And we think this is important for many reasons. One is, in comparison to other concurrent enrollment programs, usually it's a high school teacher who has the credentials teaching the college class, and they're there with their age peers, taking college classes and getting college credit. Our students are actually at the college being taught by college professors, but the diversity of the classroom is really interesting. We've had students be in classes with people who are 80 years old. They've been in classes with single working people who are paying their way through college, who don't have time for silliness. They're introduced to many different careers, people changing careers midlife. The discussion and the depth of diversity is so great at the college. We feel like it's a richer environment for them, and it allows them to see other college students and the work that they're putting into the classes. Because Front Range is so huge and so many classes that they can take, they have so many opportunities for advanced learning. We have students on the Minds track that are taking very high math and science by the time they are in a senior in our school, and they transfer or can transfer into Minds as a junior. We have students that kind of say, I don't know if I want to do arts or sciences, and they sort of get an opportunity to check everything out. It's a small selective program for a reason. Not everybody who's 15 wants to go to college, but if they do and it's the right fit, it's magical to see it happen. The students have more freedom. They get on the bus, go over to the college. They have to get something to eat. They can go they can go to the writer's lab and the math lab. They're full Front Range students and can be involved in all of the programs at Front Range. They can use the gym there, the library, and all of the resources. We help students pick their classes. So Miss Washington, our school counselor, is amazing. We work with the College Now office at Front Range and their counselors, and they help students pick the right classes. We transport students to college. We pay the tuition, and what parents pay are for books and fees. Now, Miss Goforth, Rochelle, who is our enrollment director, her daughter is a senior. Her youngest daughter is a senior this year. So tell us a little bit about books and fees.
Yeah, so books and fees, this semester she's taking 4 classes again. So fees are running, they were about $200 for this semester, and books were also about $200. I was able to find quite a few of them on Amazon, and we're renting them and then we just ship them on back. So not bad as long as she passes all those classes.
And so students need to pass their classes with a C or better for us to pay tuition. And if they get a D or an F, the parents reimburse us for the class. So there's real incentive. Also, so you know, Holly's son is a senior this year too, and taking 4 classes as well, 3 classes, and it will an associate's degree. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Exciting, you know. So they earn up to 60 credits of free college, and they can also earn certificates in vo-tech degrees. We've had students go into automotive with the goal of working on planes later. We've had students go into nursing, and they finished their CNA by the time they were juniors. And so then they were certified nursing assistants, and that's the job, the high school job they had in class. And that student actually transferred to UNC, and her job said, hey, if you're willing to go a little slower and work here, we'll pay for the rest of your college and the rest of your bachelor's. So instead of 2 years finishing, she is finishing in 3, and will have all of her college paid for, which is amazing. So how do we define success? These are our students and teachers. We do look at academic success. We give the MAP test grades 1st through 8th grade. We look at fall, winter, and spring to ensure our students are growing. We measure to make sure that they're making benchmarks and growing at least a year in a year's time. We also take the CMAS, which is the state exam, and that looks at achievement and growth in math, language arts, science, some years, and social studies. And as a history teacher, this pains me, even less than that. But they get a good picture of how individual students, but also how schools are doing overall. And now it's still, and so as long as I've been at Westgate, and we just use the last few years, we've been a performance school. And in 2017, we were the top achieving charter school in Adams 12, 4th rated school overall. We were the top 13 schools in the state, or the top 1% in achievement growth. Our ACT, now that we've moved to SAT scores, have always been above district and state averages. And we are 100% post-secondary and workforce readiness. And if you think about it, all of our high school students are taking college classes. So of course they're ready for post-secondary work. They're taking, they have internships. Yes, they're ready for the workforce when they leave us. This has always been interesting to me. So the red line is the nation. And we stopped giving the MAP test to high schoolers because they're taking midterms and finals, and they have all of these things. But the last year we took, they were in 11th grade, and they had started at Westgate. The scores start at 5th grade. So you'll see in math, the nation starts, the growth sort of starts to flatten right about 7th, 8th grade. There's not a lot of growth. And what we saw at Westgate, we started a little bit above the nation, but the growth diverged from the norm. And we believed that's because there was more challenging work associated with our high school classes and the college classes, but they also saw the workforce afterwards. And so there was some more goal there. And in reading, this one's interesting too. So again, 7th grade, nation starts to flatline. And we start out a little bit, but I never knew what happened in 7th grade. I used to make up the story in my mind that like somebody broke up with somebody and there was all of this drama. But what we found out was that a teacher left right before this MAP score, the end of the year MAP score. They needed to leave for family reasons, and the scores went down. Our assistant principal, who is the assistant principal of the high school, was the person who came in after, the teacher who replaced the teacher who left. And she said what she takes great pride in is the bounce back they had and the resiliency this group of students had, and then what they did afterwards. And you see the growth here by 11th grade is off the charts compared to the nation. And we believe, again, it's because of the high level of work that we're asking our students to do. The more we stress in school only what we can measure, the more we need to remember that not everything that is measurable matters, and not everything that matters is measurable. And so We look at other criteria at Westgate to define success. Oh, how do you define student success? You can choose more than one. It's always interesting to me, but every single time we've done this one, social emotional comes out at top. And I think especially after the year we've had, we understand that connection to others and our mental wellness and our emotional wellness is so very important, and it's critical for our kids and their growth into the future. We have our environmental learning in our school. Since we're K-12, first, second, and third, or kindergarten first and second has to be very quiet during CMAS, while third graders through eighth graders are testing for like weeks. So it's become a tradition in our school where the kindergarten first and second graders plaster the walls with posters and encouraging sayings. And so there's some excitement built by the time you're in third grade to see what the little kids, they call them in third grade, what the little kids are going to do for them. So these posters, we believe in you, do your best on the test, and reminders to themselves like, shh, be quiet in the halls, you know, and it's an amazing time to be in the school rather than sort of a sad time where everything's so quiet. We are a bully prevention school, and you hear that a lot, but we take it very seriously. We were, I'll talk about this a little bit too. We were highlighted in a documentary called Upstanders by, oh, I forgot the name, sorry, Holly, help me.
Indie? Wasn't it Indie?
Indie Flicks. So the Indie Flicks movie Upstanders came out last year. It's amazing about what bullying, the toll that it takes, what kind of things, and then what schools can do to counteract bullying. So we have here teachers and students actually learn and practice skills. You can't just say to a student, you know, walk away. They have to practice it. So we have 2 buddy benches out on the playground. That if for some reason your best friend isn't there that day and you usually, you know, make believe princess and they're not there, you can sit on the buddy bench. And we train students that if somebody's sitting on the blue benches that say buddy bench on them, that they need a friend that day or they're looking for something different to do. And so then students can come over and ask them to join their group or to join their game. And we know that they've been trained because 2 moms were sitting on the buddy bench chatting at the end of the day while waiting for their students to come out. And a kindergartner walked over to them and said, "You're sitting on the wrong bench. You clearly have a friend." And so he asked them to move to the green benches. We also teach a skill called Enough Walk Talk. And it's a strategy that if somebody is saying something to you or someone else that is demeaning or doesn't feel good, we all in the school know that we say enough and we make this hand gesture because sometimes you don't have the voice to actually get the word out. So you can just do this. And that means enough. And it doesn't have to be happening to you. If you hear it, you can say enough already. And if the person keeps doing it, you walk away. And we practice what walking away is like, because it feels like, oh, am I being mean? Are they going to say something? And then if it continues on the 3rd time, you talk, you go to an adult, you tell somebody, and then we will intervene. But it's teaching self-advocacy, that you have power and that you can ask people to stop things that don't sound or feel good to you or somebody else. We have a bullying report online. We teach kids how to use it. Parents can also use it. If you know something's happening to your child or to a different child, or you see something on social media, you can put it right in there. It goes right to our counselor, our school psychologist, assistant principals. We also have a kindness report. So you can report things that feel good too and that are kind in our community. And we don't reward them. What we do is an adult goes up to that child and says, hey, I heard you did this. And they name the thing. I heard that you helped your friend up when they fell outside. And that's awesome. That's what makes our community great. Or our community, our facility dog Pete will go, and he does a lot of those kindness report. So you get a visit from Pete when you do something kind as well. And then we were in that movie Upstanders. We're so proud. We built our playground and our environmental education campus from nothing. And from a dream came this beautiful educational environment that did not take 1 cent from our students. We raised grants through GOCO, Adams County Open Space. We used bond and mill funds to build this educational space. We're just about done with the final phase. We're waiting for the last shade structure to go up outside for the outdoor classroom, one of the outdoor classrooms. Our clubs are fun. We have Missoula Theater come. We do Odyssey of the Mind. We have something just called Fun Club for little kids. Sometimes they dance, sometimes they draw, sometimes they play games, sometimes it's Lego World. Fun Club's awesome, you know. Magic the Gathering Club is big in like starting middle school, high school. They're amazing. We have Rock Band, Cursive Club, who knew? D&D, we have Thespian Society at the high school level. We have an organization, Sticky Fingers, who does cooking classes. We have Silicon STEMin, Sound Formation, which is a percussion class that teaches math through percussion, and Mad Science as well. And they change all the time. We have a crochet club, poetry club, a writing club. So they change all of the time.
We're at the slide that takes
Yeah.
a long time to load. It's the
That's okay.
environmental education campus.
Oh, yes. So these were the drawings that you can see: large fields, the amphitheater. Each class has each advocacy has two different gardens. One is raised and one is in the ground, so they can do some experiments around that. The chicken coops, and the new goat pen, as well as the orchard, which we have been donated some native apple trees from Colorado that they're trying to regenerate. So it's very exciting work that's being done there too. This is our post test.
How good are your powers of observation? How many passes do the players in white make? If you said 13, congratulations.
13, anybody?
But you're doing that.
Who saw the cheerleader flipping in the background now? When you know what you're looking for, it's easy to spot. You knew something was coming in, and we know what we're looking for, and we see individual students. We see them. Oh, yeah. Don't miss the TED Talk.
Ready?
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED, we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course, you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now, if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes the second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and the crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out. They won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, Ted. Thanks.
12 years ago, when Westgate Community School said we're doing whole child gifted ed, and we're going to be inclusive, and we are going to treat teachers as professionals and artists, and give them freedom to create lessons that suit the students who are in front of them. And we're going to believe that students can guide their own learning, and they can go to college. And we're going to do this thing called standards-based grading. They looked at the founders a bit odd, and they said, we're not going to get big. We're going to be K-12, but we're going to stay small. What? Why don't you want to get big? Why don't you want to replicate? And it's because what we're doing here is ever changing and ever evolving, and to me, always exciting. And we want people to join that movement and look for the right fit for their students. Rochelle was one of those founders sitting around the dining room table dreaming about what a school can be. And what's happened even in the last 8 years. The school started with about 100 students and now has grown to over 500. And that's where we're at. We're at full growth. And it's exciting. And we will never stay still. We're always keeping what works and getting better and better. And that's what's exciting about the school. Thank you. Yeah, enrollment process. Many of you have already applied, or maybe you've already gotten a seat. It's exciting, or you're starting the application process. So some of this you already know. Enrollment for K-8, apply. It's a very easy application. Attend a night. Here you are getting information. You can take a tour. You got sent an email. The tours aren't as alive because the kids aren't in the building because of COVID, but you'll be able to see what it looks like and get a feeling for the teams and how the different areas of the school look. Hear about the lunch program and recess and Carline and all of those wonderful things that it's about, what it's like to be a parent at Westgate. Applications were due for the lottery, but we continue to take applications. If you are in the wait pool, as seats open up, we continuously offer those seats. So seat offers can go out any day at any time when we know either a student who's currently enrolled in Westgate, the family's moving or going somewhere else. Then as soon as we know that, we open the seat up so the wait pool keeps moving. High school enrollment, yours was a little tougher. You had to apply to Westgate. You also had to apply to Front Range. You take the AccuPlacer to show your college readiness so that they can place you into the correct classes for your student. Letters of recommendation are uploaded. You attend this night, congratulations, check. You can also take a tour. Once accepted, you attend, we hold an FRCC information night where they talk about the College Now program and concurrent enrollment. And you'll have an underage meeting with a dean, and they talk about what they do to support your students. And then they will have an advisor meeting with our counselor, like I said, in the Front Range counselor. Parents are welcome to attend that if they would like. But many times the parents and students have already talked about maybe the top 3 classes they want to take. And then we fill the 25 seats, and Westgate students have a preference, but those lucky people who got in the lottery, if the Westgate students were a little late, the lottery happened. So that's exciting. So yes, once you have a seat, you are in school. So I'm sorry, I just saw that pop up. Go ahead. I know that comes up. Last one.
Sometimes life can hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to do. Everything else is second.
We think Steve Jobs would have been a great Westgate kid. And I love what I do every day. And I love the kids at Westgate, and our families are amazing. And I would say to you, don't stop searching until you find the right school for your child and for your family.